Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining. Sunil here. Can you hear me? Please confirm in the chat box. Thank you very much for your confirmations. Thank you very much for joining the sessions. Perfect. Yes. Okay. The yesterday count was 3,000. The Zoom webinar capacity, what I have, the license is for 3,000. So all the 3,000 participants are full. Okay. So thank you very much for your responses. Let's stop the chat. Let's stop the chat so that we can focus on the training. Okay. So what's a plan for today's session? What's our plan for today's session? In the last session, we have learned what is AWS. AWS is a cloud platform, which is nothing but collection of services. Am I right? In the last session, we have discussed about what is AWS. It's a cloud platform, which is nothing but collection of services. We have logged into AWS. I have logged into AWS and we've shown you a list of all the services. Okay. To do practicals of AWS, to experience the concept of AWS, you need to have an AWS account. We need to have an AWS account. I'm sure some of you are already having AWS account. I'm sure many participants are not having AWS account. So my plan for today's session is to show you how to create a new AWS account. Friends, I'll be guiding you the process of using which you can go ahead and create a new AWS account. Once I show you how to create a new AWS account, we start practicals of AWS. Today we'll be experiencing the first service of AWS that's called as EC2. We'll be experiencing the first service of AWS that's called as EC2. We'll be learning how can we create a new Windows machine on AWS. We'll be experiencing the term called keypair. What do you mean by keypair? And we'll also learn how can we connect to the remote machine. So this is our plan for our today's session. As mentioned, today we are getting into the practicals of AWS. Thank you. Thank you very much for your interest. If you want more information about this training, as you can see, give a missed call to this particular number. Remember to prefix 0. It's mandatory that you need to prefix 0 for it. If you want to get more information about the training, give a missed call to this particular number. Perfect. And one more important concern what I have. One more important concern what I have is that many are not part of WhatsApp groups. We have few participants who are already part of WhatsApp group. There are some participants who are not part of WhatsApp group. So immediately I'm sharing now the WhatsApp group joining links. My dear friends, please do not join duplicate groups. That's very important first point. Please do not join duplicate groups. If you're not part of WhatsApp group, please join the WhatsApp group using this particular link. This is a group number 80. If you are in the WhatsApp group AWS batch 81 hyphen, it can be any number. It can be 1, 2, 10, 15, any number, that's fine. Then you are already in the right group. If you are not in the AWS batch 81 group, I'm sending you now in the chat box. Please join this particular group. If this group is full, in case if this group gets filled, please join using the second group. Join this particular group. If both the groups are full, join any and one among this group. Okay. Do not join all the groups. Do not join all the groups. If the third group is, I'm sending you 3 groups, please join in any one of the group. Okay. Please join in any of the work groups so that you get the updates about this particular training. Yes. Perfect. Okay. So this is our agenda for today's session. As usual, we will be learning how to create a new AWS account and we'll be jumping into the practicals of AWS. Okay. Yes. So before starting today's session, so let's have quick interaction, my dear friends. Let's have a quick interaction. So there are many people who are raising their hands. Let's have randomly pick up some participants and let's have an interaction, starting with Karthik Kota. Good evening, Karthik. How are you doing? I can see your hand raised. Welcome to the session. Yeah. What's your question?
Good evening, Sunil.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, this is about AWS cloud, right?
You are right.
Question was, if we become expert in AWS, can we explore Azure and Google as well?
Yes.
Or do we need to start from the scratch?
You are right. if you learn one cloud platform, it's very easy to learn the second cloud platform. Both are all the cloud platforms are similar, Karthik. Okay. So if you learn AWS, you can learn by yourself Azure. You can also learn by yourself GCP. You don't need to depend on any trainer. Okay, you can learn by yourself. The concepts remains the same. The terminologies, the user interface changes, but all the cloud platforms are almost similar. Clear, Karthik?
Yeah,
Learning
and
any
one
one
more.
cloud platform, you can learn other cloud platform by yourself very easily.
Yeah, thanks. And one more question, Sunil.
Yes.
So I am basically into security, application security.
Okay.
So
Okay.
recently I moved into cloud due to
Very
my
good.
organization implementing AWS.
Very good. You
So
got an
what would
opportunity
be?
to do hands-on on AWS in your current organization.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Actually, they are implementing in Azure. So
Okay.
they are moving into AWS as well.
Also, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So what
So
would
you
be?
know AWS, Karthik, or is it completely new for you?
Yeah, I have a basic understanding of Azure. So
Mhm.
I guess something maybe similar to AWS, right?
Yes, you're right. It is very much similar. Okay. So
Yeah.
you feel very comfortable. Okay.
Yeah. And
Any more
what would be
questions?
your
Yes.
recommendation for the certification kind, like to security specialty? So how it will be the path?
There is one specialized certification for security, isn't it, Karthik? Yesterday I have shown you the slide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
As you're from security domain, you have to aim for this. Okay. So this is for solutions architect associate level.
Okay.
After this training, this is something like a strong ground foundation. And then you have to learn few more services related to security so that you can appear for security. Okay.
Yeah.
Certificate.
Yeah. Thanks. Sunil.
Yeah, Karthik. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Good evening, Nirosha. How are you doing?
Good evening, sir.
Yes, your question, please.
Sir, previously also I'm in your DevOps batch and previous AWS batch, and again I'm attending now.
You're
sir.
repeating. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. If you're not having any questions, please do not raise your hand. Okay. Yes. Sanjeeva Reddy. Good evening, Sanjeeva Reddy. How are you doing?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Sanjeev. Yes, your question, please.
Sir, currently I'm working as a support engineering. Product support engineering. So
Okay.
I'm planning to shift to DevOps.
Okay.
So I zero
How
knowledge
many years of experience you're having?
2
in
years
support?
experience, sir.
Okay. Okay.
I
Now,
don't have any knowledge on the AWS and DevOps.
okay. No problem, Sanjeev. Did you attend my yesterday session?
Yes, sir. It is very
Clearly
nice.
mentioned that there's no prerequisite for AWS. Okay.
Yes, sir.
There is no prerequisite. You don't need to have a programming experience, or you don't need to have any IT experience. You don't need to have any technology experience. Okay. Nothing is required. You can directly learn AWS. Okay. Understand the concept and then implement it, do hands-on. You'll understand how exactly AWS helps the clients to manage their infrastructure. Okay. That's it.
Okay.
And
Okay,
then
sir.
you can, as you are planning for DevOps, once you complete both the courses, you can easily shift your technology from the current support to the AWS and DevOps professional. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All the best, Sanjeev. You're from which city?
Thank you. Bangalore, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Swarit Grover.
Good evening, Sunil. How are you?
Doing well, Swarit. How are you doing?
I'm
You're from
fine.
which city?
I'm from Karnal, Haryana. Actually, I have three years experience in TCS, and now I'm currently pursuing MBA.
Okay.
So I just wanted to ask, like,
So
I
your
have
3 years
interest.
experience is on which platform?
3 years out of that, 2 years I worked on Azure, and 1 year I was working as a PMO.
Okay.
So
So you
actually, my
already are
interest,
aware of Azure.
yeah, Azure I've worked on. Yes.
Okay. Very good. Yes.
My question was that actually I am having interest in finance and operations. So how AWS might help me in my future journey
You're interested
in finance and operations in my MBA. So how this
if your
AWS might
MBA
help.
specialization is finance and operations, AWS will not help you. Okay. Because this is pure technical, isn't it? And your
Yeah,
specialization
but
is into finance domain. Okay.
yeah, but actually DevOps is a part of operations, so that's what I
Yes.
want.
So it will help you. So if you learn DevOps, it will help you, not AWS. Okay. So you have to learn both the skill sets because
Okay.
it does not help you in finance. It helps you in operations. Okay, finance is completely core. Swallow. Okay, so it
Thank
helps
you,
you
sir.
in operations. It's because as an MBA professional, you may need to manage the clients as well as the development team. So DevOps plays a very important role. Okay,
Okay.
thank you, Swarit. There are many people who are raising their hands. Okay. Balamurugan P. Good evening. How are you doing? You are allowed to unmute and talk.
Sunil, can you hear me?
Hi, Balamurugan. I can hear you. How are you doing today?
Okay, yeah, I'm good. Thanks for asking. And how about you, Sunil?
Doing well. Thank you, Bala.
Yeah, Sunil, I have been working in the storage domain past 15 years of experience in the
SAN
IT.
storage.
Yeah, SAN storage.
Many
Various.
participants from SAN domain successfully changed it to AWS and DevOps. Okay, Bala. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I already booked for Zoo and AWS and just started slowly. Actually, I just want to learn for AWS more.
okay. Good, Bala. Because you are in the storage, we can write having this 15 years of experience. Now we cannot go to developer track, isn't it, Bala?
Yeah,
So
correct.
that is ruled out. Development technologies are ruled out. So now we have to. So we need to check for. We need to obviously explore in our infrastructure side, and this is very good booming, isn't it? AWS.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
So,
correct.
So you are in right approach, Bala. So acquire your skills of AWS. So even though you want to stick to SAN domain, having AWS in your profile will add value to your current experience. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you,
Yes.
sir.
How do you happen to know about this training, Bala?
Yeah, it's going good, Sunil.
No, how do you happen to know about our training?
This one I just look into that. I got some email actually.
Okay.
I have registered actually.
Okay. Thank you, Bala.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, what is AWS? Let's get into the concepts of today's session. So what is AWS? AWS is, it's a cloud platform. It's very simple. It's a platform which is nothing but collection of, my dear friends, it's nothing but collection of, you're right, services. If you want to see list of all the services, so what's the URL? URL is aws.amazon.com and log in with our email address and password. So I can log into AWS and I'll show you list of all the services. I already shown this in the last session, so I want to do it one more time. So let's log into AWS. URL, you already know it. aws.amazon.com. Sign in to the console. I log in with my email address and the password. This is how we log into AWS. I log into AWS, the landing page. The first page, what you get is AWS Management Console. Observe. My dear friends, even though you're completely new to AWS, it's very simple. The moment I log in, the first page is called as AWS Management Console. As I mentioned, it is collection of services. In the left side, you can see list of all the services what AWS provides. This is a list of all the services what AWS provides. Now, if you want to work with any of the service, you can work with EC2, you can work with CodeStar, any service if you want to work with. If you want to do hands-on on any of these services, you need to have an AWS account. Without AWS account, you cannot log in and do hands-on. Am I right? Yes. So if you want to have an AWS account, you need to follow a process. Now I'm showing you how to create a new AWS account. That's our agenda for today's session. I'm logging out. I'm logging out and I'm showing you how to create a new AWS account. I'm showing you how to create a new AWS account. This is our agenda for today's session. So let's complete this point, how to create a new AWS account. If you want to create an AWS account, there are 3 important points you need to keep in note. If you want to create an AWS account, you should have an email address. No doubt we all have an email address. That's not a problem. You need to have a mobile number also. No doubt we all have mobile numbers also. That's not a problem. In case if you're maintaining 2 mobile numbers, In case if you're maintaining 2 SIM cards, please use the mobile number which is linked to your bank account. These are very important pitfalls you need to keep in mind. If you are maintaining 2 mobile numbers, please use the mobile number which is linked to your bank account. If you want to create a new AWS account, you need to have an email address, you need to have a mobile number, you need to have a debit card. Credit card is difficult, probably, but debit card is pretty easy. Whenever you create a new bank account, you get a debit card, isn't it? You need to have a debit card or credit card. So it's always preferred to use a debit card rather than credit card. Okay. If you have email address, if you have a mobile number, if you have a debit card with you, yes, you can go ahead and create a new AWS account. These are the required details which are required for creating a new AWS account. And very important note, my dear friends, RuPay card will not work. Visa debit card or Master debit card will work. RuPay card will not work. Keep this in mind. If you are having a RuPay card, please do not use that particular card. Please use a Visa card or a Master card. If you should have an email address, you should have a mobile number with you, which is linked to your bank account. You should have a debit card with you. And debit card should not be a RuPay card. It should be a Master card or a Visa card. The next thing, you need to check, you need to call to the customer care of your bank, and then you need to enable your debit card. You need to enable your debit card for international transactions. You need to enable your debit card for international transactions. The moment a banker issues a debit card to you, when you create a new savings account, whether it is State Bank of India, ICICI, HDFC, any account, by default, the debit card will not be enabled for international transactions. You need to enable it. You talk to customer care and make sure that you enable the debit card for international transactions. These are three important. These are a few points which you need to keep in mind before going ahead creating a new AWS account. Okay, I have an email address with me. I have my email address. I have a mobile number which is linked with your bank account. I have a debit card which is already enabled for international transactions. As I have all my details, it's not a RuPay card. I have a Visa card, so I have all the details. So let's go ahead and create a new AWS account. If you want to create a new AWS account, obviously the URL is same, aws.amazon.com. My dear friends, the URL is same, aws.amazon.com. Let's go to that particular URL. The URL is aws.amazon.com. Sign in to the console. As I already have an AWS account, happily I enter my email address and I enter the login password. I can connect to AWS Cloud. But as you want to create a new account, here we have an option of creating a new account. Have you observed? Here we have an option of creating a new account. So click on this create new account because we are planning to create a new AWS account. Yes, sign up for AWS. Creating a new AWS account is a 5-step process, as you can see in the screen. Creating a new AWS account is how many step process? A 5-step process. As simple as that. A very simple 5-step process. You should be very careful and make sure that you successfully create a new AWS account. Creating a new AWS account is just a 5-step process. And you are able to see the step 1. You need to furnish your email address. You need to furnish your login password, and you need to provide your AWS account name that should be unique. Okay, so as I mentioned, this we should mention it in step 1. What? We need to mention this in step 1. Step 1, you have to provide your email address, you have to provide your login password, and you need to mention your AWS account name. So these details you need to provide it in step 1. I already have created a document with this 5-step process along with the screenshots. When I have created AWS account, I have taken a screenshot so that it will be easier for reference for you. You can follow that screenshots and go ahead and create a new AWS account. Please have a look at this. Step 1. aws.amazon.com. You need to enter your email address. My dear friends, are you able to see the screen? You need to provide your email address. You need to provide your password. You need to provide the login password. You need to enter some unique account name. and click on continue. This is step 1. Step 1, we need to furnish your email address. So next in step 2, you need to furnish your mobile number. Step 2, you need to furnish your mobile number. Look at this. I'm scrolling down. It is asking for contact information. You need to provide your mobile number. Very important point. AWS provides 2 types of accounts, as you can see in the screen. AWS provides 2 types of accounts. Can you see here? It is professional account and personal account. Let me increase the font size, as you can see. One minute, please. AWS provides 2 types of accounts, professional account and personal account. We are creating an AWS account for our personal use to learn by ourselves. We are not using AWS account for a freelancer or for professional purpose or for business purpose. So go ahead and select the account type as personal. Select the account type as personal. Next. Provide your full name, provide your mobile number, provide your right country. I've seen many participants selecting a mobile number, 10-digit mobile number, and they select the country as US. You have to select our country. That if you are providing India mobile number, select the country as India. Provide your address. This is second step. So second step, you need to provide your mobile number. So first step, you have provided our email address. Second step, I have provided mobile number. Very important point in step and second step. AWS provides 2 types of account. You need to select personal account, as you can see in the screen. That is step 2. Obviously, next step, it will ask for debit card details. Yes, scroll down. Enter your debit card or credit card details. It's always advised to provide the debit card details. Obviously, step 3, it is asking for debit card or credit card. Provide your debit card number, provide your expiry date, provide your card holder names. Okay, so like how I have provided my debit card details, I have provided my card holder name. Okay, do you have PAN? It's not required to furnish the PAN. Just mention it as no, verify and add. And I already have mentioned this debit card should be enabled for international transactions. Make sure before going ahead and creating a new AWS account, please talk to your bank customer care and make sure that you can enable your debit card for international transaction. If you are using a mobile app, in the mobile app itself, there's an option to enable the international transactions. You can do it from your mobile app. That's it. Step 3. So step 1, quick recap. Step 1, I have entered my email address and login password. Step 2, I have selected account as personal account, provided mobile number. Step 3, I have provided my debit card. And then you get an OTP from the to verify whether the debit card details what you have entered is correct or not. You'll get 2 rupees will be deducted just for verification whether the debit card what you have entered is correct or not. You get an OTP to your mobile number. That's the reason I ask you to use a mobile number which is linked to your bank account. So provide the right OTP and verify your debit card. Once your debit card is verified, second time it will ask your mobile number, confirm your identity. Already we have provided mobile number. Second time it will ask you to again provide the mobile number, select the right country, select the 10-digit mobile number, and then you will get one more time OTP. This time for OTP for verifying the mobile number what you have provided is correct or not. Okay, so first OTP is to verify whether debit card details what you have entered is correct or not. You'll get one more OTP to verify whether the mobile number what you have provided is correct or not. So verify your mobile number. Scroll down. So verify your mobile number. Scroll down. Next. AWS provides 3 types of plans. My dear friends, AWS provides 3 types of plans: basic plan, developer plan, and business plan. Go for basic plan. Basic plan is free for a period of 12 months. The AWS account which you are creating, if you select basic plan, this AWS account is free for a period of 12 months. If you create an AWS account today, you can use it for next 12 months. So basic plan is more than enough for us to practice your AWS services, whatever we are learning in today's session, in our current batch. So select the plan as basic plan. Select your role, whatever it is, you select your interest in whatever the platform you want. Select this drop down box and click on submit. Okay, and then you get a thank you message saying that your AWS has been successfully created. So my dear friends, this is a clear screenshot of step-by-step process which we need to follow to create a new AWS account. As you have the AWS account ready with you, you can log in with your AWS with your email address and login password. I have clearly documented the screenshot step-by-step process, which helps you to create a new AWS account. I'll be sharing this document to you. Please follow this document and go ahead and create a new AWS account. Please go ahead and create a new AWS account. So as you have the AWS account ready, so you get an email confirmation saying that your AWS account has been successfully created. Once the AWS is successfully created, you can log into AWS. When you log into AWS, the first page is called as AWS Management Console. As simple as that. Clear about this? Tell me, is it difficult to create a new AWS account? No, it's very simple. The first step, you need to enter your email address. Second step, you need to select the account type as personal. Next, you need to provide your mobile number. Next, you need to enter your debit card details. You get an OTP to verify your debit card. Again, you need to enter your mobile number one more time. One more OTP you get to verify whether the mobile number is correct or not. Select what plan you want. So select basic plan, which is free for a period of 12 months. That's it. Your AWS account is ready. Clear? You get an email saying that your AWS account is successfully created. One more important point. Once the AWS account is successfully created, it will take 24 hours of time to get activated. AWS account creation is different. AWS account activation is different. It will take 24. First, you get a successful message saying to your email saying that AWS account is successfully created. You get one more email saying that it will take some time to get activated. Sometimes it gets activated in 12 hours. Sometimes it gets activated in 24 hours. So maximum time it will take is 24 hours. Within 24 hours, you get one more email saying that your AWS account is active and you can start using your AWS account. So my dear friends, if you're not having AWS account, you have to do hands-on. Please follow the steps which I mentioned in the document. Go ahead and create a new AWS account. Okay. So we are done with our first point of our today's session. We have learned how to create a new AWS account. In fact, it's pretty easy. Okay. As I already have an AWS account, friends, I already have an AWS account. I log into AWS and we are learning the first service called as an EC2. I log into AWS and then I will be learning the first service called as an EC2. So that's our plan for today's session. So let's experience the first service called as an EC2. So let me log into AWS. How to log into AWS? We have done it many times. How to log into AWS? The URL is aws.amazon.com. Sign in to the console. Enter your email address and the login password which you have used at the time of creating the AWS account. The moment you log into AWS account, what is the first page? You're right. What is the first page? AWS Management Console. That's called as a landing page, AWS Management Console. The first page when you log into AWS is AWS Management Console. As you know, AWS is nothing but just collection of services. As you can see, when you click on this drop-down list box, you get a list of all the services, out of which we are now learning the first service called as EC2. So before getting into practicals of EC2, I have one small scenario. Try to understand this. Before getting into practicals of EC2, let's make this concept, look at a small requirement. Now, what AWS says about EC2? What AWS says about EC2? Look at this. Stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. So what does AWS say about this EC2? Look at this. Elastic Compute Cloud, EC2, provides a scalable computing capacity in AWS. Using EC2 eliminates your need for investing hardware upfront so that you can develop and deploy applications faster. This is the technical definition about EC2. Let's make it simplified. As we know, we always make the concept simplified. Let's make it concept simplified. What do you mean by EC2? Don't worry about the technical jargons, computing capacity, develop and deploy faster. No, don't worry about this. We'll see in practicals in detail. Let's make the concept of EC2 simplified. Okay, perfect. Let's make the concept of EC2 simplified. Bala Murugan, if you don't mind, can we have a talk?
Yeah, please.
Yes, thank you, Bala. Okay. Bala Murugan, can you see this is my laptop which is installed with Windows operating system? Am I right?
Yeah.
As you can see, this is my laptop. My laptop is installed with Windows operating system. My plan is to learn Linux commands. My plan is to learn Linux commands. Obviously, we cannot learn Linux commands in Windows operating system, isn't it?
Yeah, correct.
Option one, what I can do is I can format my laptop because my plan is to learn Linux, and Linux we cannot learn it in Windows operating system. Option one, what I can do is I can format my laptop and I will install Linux in my laptop so that I can learn Linux command. Am I right? Perfect. This is option one. Option two, this is more better option than option one.
Yeah.
Option two,
VMware workstation.
yes, I can install Linux on
VMware workstation.
VMware. I can install Linux on VMware. So especially for non-technical people, let's make this concept simplified.
Yeah.
Instead of formatting my laptop, so my dear friends, what I can do, please try to understand the concept. This is my laptop. My laptop is coming with 8 GB gigabyte RAM. Okay, and then my laptop is coming with 500 GB of hard drive. This is my laptop configuration. As you all see, my dear friends, as you can see, my laptop is installed with what operating system? As it is very clear, my laptop is installed with Windows operating system. But as my plan is to learn Linux commands, obviously I cannot learn Linux commands on Windows. So what I have done, I am installing a special software called as VMware. I'll show you. Look at this. Can you see here, my dear friends? We have an option called VMware. Let me open this software. This is called as a virtualization software. So VMware workstation. 1 minute, Bala. So 1 minute, please. So as you can see, I have installed, what did I do? I have installed VMware on top of my Windows operating system. So perfect. So I have installed a software called VMware. On top of VMware, Bala, as you can see, I have my Red Hat Linux operating system on top of VMware.
Yeah.
So what I have done, I have created a virtual machine that's called Linux machine. So this means whenever I want to practice Linux, Bala, I can happily start my Linux machine.
So we can use, instead of VMware workstation, Oracle VirtualBox.
Yes,
also.
any virtualization technology, Oracle VirtualBox will also work. All the virtualization technologies concept is the same.
Yeah.
Yes, Bala, as you can see, I have the Linux operating system ready with me. So whenever my plan is to learn Linux commands, I can open my terminal and I can learn the Linux commands, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah. Correct.
So, and whenever I want to do my day-to-day activities, I can minimize this and I can regularly perform my day-to-day activities. This is more better option, isn't it, Bala, rather than formatting my complete Windows machine. And whenever I don't want this Linux, whenever I'm done with practicing Linux, I can stop my virtual machine.
Yeah.
Yes, my virtual machine is stopped. I can get back to my actual operating system. So this is the option 2. Obviously, Bala, option 2 is more better, isn't it? Installing Linux on VMware. Advantage, if I want to do my day-to-day activities like browsing or emailing, I can do my Windows machine. And my plan is to learn Linux commands. Whenever I want to learn Linux commands, I open my VMware and then I can start my machine and I can start my Linux commands. This is option 2. This is more better option rather than formatting my Windows machine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very important point. Whenever you want to create this kind of virtual machines on VMware, my dear friends, whenever we want to create a virtual machine, we need to allocate 3 hardware components. Whenever we have, as you can see, we have created a Linux machine on VMware. Whenever you're creating this Linux machine or Solaris machine or any operating system, you can create it on VMware. We need to allocate 3 hardware components.
Yeah.
So we need to allocate 3 hardware components. You need to allocate a processor.
Yeah.
You need to allocate a RAM. You need to allocate a hard disk. Every virtual machine needs 3 hardware components, because when you're playing this Linux machine, it will consume some RAM, isn't it, Bala? Okay, so you need to allocate RAM. So total, how much RAM my laptop is having? 8 GB RAM. My laptop is having 500 GB. Out of this hardware resources, we need to allocate some hardware resources to the virtual machines. So I also have allocated the hardware resources. That's the reason my virtual machine is playing. So how much hardware resources are allocated? You can see in the dropped option here. How much memory allocated? 3.9. That means close to 4 GB. My actual hardware is 8 GB, so close to 4 GB. That means 50% I have allocated RAM to my Linux machine. Okay. So as you can see, RAM I have allocated 4 GB, and you can see the storage hard disk how much I have allocated? 60 GB. Total 500 GB storage I have, out of which 60 GB I have allocated to this Linux machine. And how many processors I have allocated? 2 processors I have allocated. So whenever I practice this Linux machine, it will consume these hardware resources of my particular laptop. On these hardware resources, the Linux machine gets executed. This is called as virtualization technology. So you are allocating some amount of RAM from your laptop, that is from your hardware. You are allocating some amount of hard disk from your laptop, and you're allocating some amount of processor from your laptop. Using those hardware configurations, this kind of virtual machines will run perfectly. Clear, Bala? Yeah. So how exactly I can achieve my plan is, my use case is actually, my plan is to learn Linux machine. Option 1 is formatting. Obviously, after listening the option 2, this is more better, isn't it, Bala? Okay.
Yeah.
There's one more option, Bala. Option 3. Option 3 is much more better than option 1. I can create the Linux machine on AWS cloud platform. So I can create the same Linux machine, whatever I have created, I have shown you, which I have created on my laptop, the same Linux machine. I can create it on AWS cloud platform. Okay. I can create it on AWS cloud. So same Linux machine. I can create it on AWS cloud platform, Bala. So if you want to create your own Linux machine, or if you want to create your own Windows machine, or if you want to create your own Solaris machine, any operating system, any virtual machine, if you want to create it on AWS, Bala, the solution is, the service is EC2. So EC2 is a service which helps you to create your own virtual machines as per your requirement, Bala. You can create Linux machine, you can create Windows machine, you can create your Apple Mac operating system also on AWS. Okay, whatever the operating system you want, you can create it on AWS cloud. So how do you do it? By using a service called as EC2. Clear, Bala? Clear about this?
Yeah, I'm clear. Very clear.
Thank you, Bala, for your support. Okay, thank you very much. So my dear friends, I hope I'm very clear. The concept of EC2, let's make the concept simplified. EC2 is all about the term EC2 is all about creating virtual machines on cloud. So I want to create a Windows machine. So what's our agenda for today's session? Look at this. What's our agenda for today's session? We will be learning how to create a new Windows machine on AWS. Yes. So how can we do it? That's how we'll do it practically. It's very important to do hands-on. Every day will be something learning new. As you can see, we have understood EC2. So EC2 is all about creating virtual machines on AWS cloud. So let's learn how can we create a Windows machine. You can create Linux machine also. That's the next example. To start with, I want to show you how to create a Windows machine on AWS cloud. Perfect. So my plan is not Linux. Okay. So my plan is not Linux. So in this session, I'll be learning how to create I'll be showing how to create a Windows machine. That's right. Whenever you want to create your own Windows machine, obviously, you need to use a service called as an EC2. So I already have logged into AWS. My dear friends, I already have logged into AWS services. And let's go with the first service called as an EC2. This is how the EC2 service dashboard looks like. This is the EC2 service dashboard looks like. This is how the EC2 service dashboard looks like. Can you see 1, 2, 3, 4? These are all virtual machines. Please ignore this. I'm using these machines for my previous batches from my existing batches. When you're logging in, you'll have empty machines. You will not have any services, any machines. It's an empty. As you can see here, you can see dev instance, QA instance, slave production. Don't worry about these 4 machines. These 4 machines, I'm using it for the morning batch. Don't worry about this. So once you log into AWS, once you select an EC2, this is how the EC2 dashboard looks like. Now, what's our plan? My dear friends, what's our plan? Our plan is to create a new Windows machine on AWS cloud. Let's learn. Whenever you want to create a new Windows machine, it could be Windows machine or Linux machine or any machine. As I told you, you can create a Mac operating system also, Apple Mac. Whatever you want to do it, it's a process. It's a 7-step process. Whenever you want to create a new Windows machine, so what's our agenda? What's our agenda? Our agenda is to create a new Windows machine. Whenever you want to create a new Windows machine, here log into AWS, select the service called as an EC2. Select the service called as an EC2. This is how an EC2 dashboard looks like. And then here we have an option called launch instance. Launch instance helps you to create a new instance. Instance is nothing but a new Windows machine. Okay, perfect. So I click on launch instance. Creating a new instance, my dear friends, look at this terminology. I can say I'm creating a new computer in my AWS cloud. I can also say I'm creating a new machine. I can also say I'm creating a new box. I can also say I'm creating a new PC. I can also say I'm creating a new server. All these are common synonyms. I can say it as instance. Instance refers to new computer. Instance is nothing but a new machine, new server, new PC altogether. These are all synonyms. Now I'm saying the term called instance. I'm using it. This is the right term to use. So what we are doing, we are creating a new instance. Which instance we are creating? We are creating a Windows instance on AWS cloud. Let's learn. Creating a new instance, as you can see the screen, creating a new instance, as you can see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-step process. My dear friends, creating a new instance is a how many step process? 7-step process. All the steps are very simple. First tune your mind saying that AWS is simple. I'm sure AWS is simple. I make the concept simplified. What we are doing, we are creating a new Windows machine on AWS cloud. How many steps? It's a 7-step process. Step 1, choose AMI, stands for Amazon Machine Image. What is first step? First step is choose AMI, stands for Amazon Machine Image. You may have a question, Sunil, what do you mean by Amazon Machine Image? Don't worry about this technology or technical jargons. Amazon Machine Image is nothing but operating system. So step 1, what you need to do, you need to choose AMI. It's nothing but you need to choose operating system. Which operating system you want? You have all the options. You can create Linux machines. As I told you, you can create a Mac operating system. Okay, you can create a Red Hat Linux. You can create a SUSE flavor. You can create Ubuntu flavor. A lot of options you have. You have a lot of operating systems available. Whichever you want, you can go ahead and select, and that's it. Proceed and go ahead and create it. As simple as that. As my plan is to create a new Windows machine, so I scroll down all the options. I go with Amazon. I don't want Amazon Linux. I don't want Mac. Okay, I don't want Red Hat. I don't want SUSE. I don't want Ubuntu. I want to create a Windows machine, Microsoft Windows Server. Yes, perfect. So first step is selecting Amazon Machine Image. In simple, it's nothing but an operating system. So I'm selecting Windows Server operating system. And remember, when you're selecting operating system, make sure that the operating system is eligible for free tier. My dear friends, when you're selecting an operating system, make sure when you're practicing this, make sure that you are selecting operating system which is eligible for free tier. Why? Because do you remember we have created an AWS account? When you have created an AWS account, we have selected free tier. The basic plan is free tier account. There are some operating systems, those are not eligible for free tier. Can you see here? Windows Server 2019 with SQL Server database. This is not free. If you select this, no doubt your machine will be created, your instance will be created, but you will be paying for that. So don't worry about this. Please make sure that when you're practicing, you make sure that we will be selecting options which are eligible for free tier. So it's very important to take a note of it.
Sunil, here, whatever OS is listing out, that only we can install, or apart from that, any other version?
There are a lot of operating systems. Okay, they're close to. If you look at the documentation, there are a lot of operating systems. All the versions, previous versions are available. Whichever you want, you can just search for the version and get the information. Okay, Bala?
Okay, got it.
Perfect. Yes. So step 1, I'm selecting Windows machine as I mentioned. So I don't want Ubuntu. Okay, I'm selecting Windows Server. So it's obviously eligible for free tier. That's good. So step 1 is done, and 64-bit operating system. So step 1 has selected operating system. Next, step 2, Choose instance type. It is asking you to choose instance type. You may have a question, Sunil, what do you mean by instance type? Before explaining you what is instance type, these are all types available. Look at this, we have T2 nano, T2 micro, T2 small. These are all instance types available. Please read this table. Can you see the heading, the instance type? You can see T2 medium, T2 small, T2 large, T2 extra large. There are a lot of instance types available. But very important observation, can you see there's only instance type, there's only one instance which is eligible for free tier. Have you observed? There are a lot of instance types. Before explaining what is instance type, but please observe, there's only one instance which is eligible for free tier. What is that instance? T2 micro. So obviously that default one is free instance. By default is selected. So take the default one. Because when you choose other instance type, you will obviously, it's not eligible for free tier. So ours is a free tier account. So I'm obviously selecting T2 micro. By default, this will be selected. So what do you mean by this? Sunil, what do you mean by this? Instance type is all about hardware configuration of your machine which you're planning to create. As I told you, I am creating a new Windows machine on AWS. As I committed, I am showing you how to create a new Windows machine. You may have a question, Sunil, okay, you're showing me how to create a new Windows machine, but my question is, what is the RAM of that Windows machine? What is the hard disk of that particular Windows machine? How many processors this Windows machine is having? Can you tell me the hardware configuration of this particular Windows machine? Yes, I'm coming back to the point. No matter whether you're creating Linux machine on your personal laptop on VMware or you're creating a Windows machine on AWS, the concept is the same. Virtualization concept remains the same. To create any virtual machine, you need to have three hardware components. You need to allocate RAM, you need to allocate hard disk, and you need to allocate processor. That's what. So T2 micro is all about hardware configuration. You can see how many CPUs? One CPU. That means the Windows machine which I am creating on AWS, which comes with how many processors? One processors, and memory is nothing but RAM. How much GB? 1 GB RAM. Yes. Yes, now I am clear with my hardware configuration. Now look at my statement. The Windows machine which we are creating on today's on AWS cloud is a 1 GB RAM Windows machine, and how many processors? One processor. So T2 micro is all about hardware configuration. You may have a question, Sunil. I need a more high-speed machine. I don't want 1 GB RAM. 1 GB RAM is very slow. I want 8 GB RAM. Yes, you can go ahead and select this 8 GB RAM. Select this T2 large. It comes with 8 GB RAM. Sunil, I don't want 8 GB RAM. I want 16 GB RAM. You scroll, the more you scroll down, the hardware configuration increases. Okay. So you have a lot of hardware. You can create as simple as 1 GB RAM. You can go ahead and create a 64 GB RAM machine also. It's up to you. So instance type is all about it's all about defining the hardware configurations. I hope I'm very clear in explaining step 2. I'm selecting T2 micro instance. T2 micro instance is a instance which is coming with 1 GB RAM and 1 CPU. Okay. You may have a question, Sunil. You have explained about the processor configuration, RAM configuration, and what about the hard disk? Why are you not explaining about the hard disk? Yes, hard disk comes under step 4. That is called storage. Storage refers to hard disk. So that will be explained in step 4. Step 1, I have selected the operating system, Windows Server. Step 2, I have selected the hardware configuration. That means this Windows machine which I am creating on AWS is having 1 GB RAM and 1 CPU. Next. Step 3, number of instances. How many machines you want? By default, it's only one machine. That's good. But if you want, you can go ahead and create 10 machines at a single shot. Step 3 is all about how many number of instances you want to create, how many missions you want to create. At a single shot, you can go ahead and create 10 missions also. That's okay. So let's take the default one. I want to create only one mission. Step 3 is all about number of missions. I'm taking the default one. Step 4, coming to storage. That's about hard disk capacity. So how much hard disk? This Windows machine comes with how much hard disk? As you can see, 30 GB. Very good. So I now got the hardware configuration. It is 30 GB. So all the three components are now very clear. The Windows machine which I am creating on AWS, the configuration of that particular Windows machine is 1 processor, 1 GB RAM, and 30 GB of hard disk. Perfect. That is step 4. Is it difficult, my dear friend? Step 1 is operating system. Step 2 is instance type. Step 3 is number of instances. Step 4 is storage. It is giving you 30 GB of storage. Next. Tax is nothing but providing the name to the instance. Don't worry, take the default. I'll explain about the tax later. Next. This is very important. Step 6, configure security group. This is very, very important. I want to discuss about the security group. Yes. I'm discussing about the concept of security group. Yes. Okay. Assume that you have successfully created Windows machine on AWS. Assume that you have successfully created Windows machine on AWS cloud platform. Fine. After Windows machine is successfully created on AWS, from your personal laptop, let's say you want to connect to that Windows machine. Okay. Let's say, assume that you have successfully created Windows machine on AWS cloud. Fine. After Windows machine is successfully created on AWS, you want to connect to that Windows machine and you want to experience that environment, Windows environment on AWS. My dear friends, when can you connect to the Windows machine? You can connect to the Windows machine. You can connect to Windows machine. Yes, you are right. You can successfully connect to the Windows machine only when port is open. What should be open? Port is open. Port is something like a gate, especially for non-technical people. Assume that you have successfully created Windows machine. Fine. You can connect to that Windows machine only when what should be open? Yes, you are right. Port should be open. Port is nothing but gate, point of contact. I'll make this concept more simpler. Let's say you buy a pen drive. Let's say you bought a pen drive. You want to use your pen drive. You want to store some data in the pen drive. What do? You connect your pen drive to what? USB port. You connect your pen drive to your laptop. To your laptop, which port? Port is nothing but USB port is nothing but point of communication. Data will transfer. Communication happens from the port. Ports are nothing but point of communication, gate. Are you understanding the importance of port? For example, you want to connect your laptop to your television. You want to connect your laptop to your television. You connect using what? HDMI port. Port is nothing but point of communication, gateway of communication. I hope I'm very clear. So when you assume that you have successfully created Windows machine, but you have created Windows machine, but how can you connect? You can connect only when the port is open. You have to open the port. AWS is very intelligent. AWS is very intelligent. It knows that the port should be opened. Otherwise, it cannot be used. Obviously, you cannot connect. When you cannot connect, it's useless, isn't it? AWS is very intelligent. It is very intelligent. For Windows machine, you have to open RDP port. What port you have to open? RDP port. People who already have work experience, you can easily understand it. Especially for non-technical people, we need to open RDP port. RDP stands for remote desktop. So RDP port needs to be open for the Windows machine. AWS is very intelligent. It is showing you, it's already suggesting you to that you have to open RDP port. Yes. Okay, you don't need to do anything in the step 6. It's very clever. It is already opening the RDP port for you. It's just showing you that I'm opening the RDP port. Fine. So don't disturb the settings. So step 6 is all about security group. Security group is all about opening the ports. For Windows machine, we need to open RDP port. It is already intelligent. It is already opening the RDP port. So just don't worry about this. So don't disturb anything. So take the default option. So step 2 is default. Step 3 is default. Step 4 is default. Step 5 is default. Step 6 is also default, in fact. But you have to understand the importance of each and every step. So review, step 7 is just reviewing the details. Verify whether you have a correct operating system, verify the hardware configuration, verify whether the right ports are open or not. So click on review and launch. When you click on review, it will provide you all the details. You can see, it will provide you the operating system just for your verification. It shows you that this Windows machine which you're creating this is the hardware configuration. Very good. How many number of instances? RDP port is opening. The storage is nothing but 30 GB of storage. It is providing you all the details, whatever you provided, and click on launch. When you click on launch, the machine gets created. Very important observation. Very important observation. Whenever you click on launch, after completing all the steps, when you click on launch, very important observation, it will ask you to create observation. It will ask you to create a new key pair. I repeat again, when you click on launch, I have not clicked it. Observe, I am not clicking it. When you click on launch, it will ask you to create a new key pair. You may have a question, Sunil, what is key pair? Before explaining you what is key pair, let's experience it. It will ask you to create a new key pair. Key pair is nothing but a file with extension .pem. It will ask you to create a new key pair. Key pair is nothing but a file with extension Okay, so before explaining you what is keypair, let's experience the concept of keypair. So I have not clicked on launch. Somewhere in my desktop, I am creating a folder, AWS batch 81. This is my AWS batch 81. I'm somewhere creating a folder. In this particular folder, I want to download the keypair. In this particular desktop, AWS batch 81, I want to download the keypair. Let's experience it. As mentioned, I am completed the 7-step process. Click on launch. Select an existing keypair or create a new keypair. Have you observed? It is asking you select an existing keypair or create a new keypair. Don't worry about the existing keypair. We'll be learning it soon. So I'm going ahead and selecting an option, create a new keypair. As mentioned, it will ask you to, where is it? Where is the notepad? It will ask you to create a new keypair. Perfect. And you have to mention the file name. It can be anything. File name can be anything. Let's say I write it as Sunil, my name. The keypair name, I'm writing it as Sunil with today's date 27, and I download my keypair. It's very important. You have to download the keypair. After completing 7-step process, it will ask you to create a new keypair. I am creating a new keypair. The pair name, I'm writing it as Sunil 27. It can be any name. It can be your name, anything. Download the keypair. Where I want to download, do you remember? In the desktop. You can download it anywhere. Downloads folder, desktop folder, C drive, D drive. But I want to download it. Okay, so keypair is already there. So Sunil 20, not 27. So let's say I will write it as 27. Any name you can write it, 277. And I download the keypair. Where I want to download my keypair in my desktop, I have created a new folder, right? AWS batch 81. Yes, you can see AWS batch 81. I'm downloading the keypair. Observation, it's file with extension.pem. Save it. Yes. Now coming back to statement. After completing the 7-step process of launching the EC2 machine, it will ask you to create a new keypair. And as observed, the keypair is nothing but file with extension.pem. You have to create a new keypair and download it. I have downloaded my desktop and then click on launch instances. Perfect. So launching the instances, scroll down, view instances. So my dear friends, I have successfully created a new instance. These are my old instances. I hope you remember. This is a new instance. It will take just 1 minute time for the instance to get created. This is the new machine I have created. So I can name it as anything. I mean, as it is my first machine, I'm writing it as machine 1. Am I clear? I have successfully created a new Windows machine on AWS cloud. My dear friends, am I clear? My dear friends, am I clear? Did we successfully created a new Windows machine on AWS cloud? Am I clear? If this concept is clear, please type yes in the chat box. I am very clear. I am very clear in each stepping and clearing. I'm explaining in each and every step of how to create a new Windows machine on AWS cloud. Thank you very much for your responses. Thank you very much for your responses. Perfect. I want to discuss something more. Okay, I want to take help of Bala again. Okay. I want to have a discussion with one of the participants to make the concept very simple. Who is ready to talk to me? Please raise your hand. Who is ready to talk to me? Please raise your hand. Perfect. Kumara Subramanian. Can you hear me? I think I have not unmuted. Chaitanya Jyoti, can you hear me? You are now allowed to unmute and talk. Chaitanya, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thank you, Chaitanya. So clear about how to create a new Windows machine?
Yeah.
Okay, I have some questions, Chaitanya. What is the hardware configuration of the Windows machine which you have created on AWS Cloud? What is the hardware configuration of the new Windows machine which you have created on AWS Cloud?
Yeah, it is 30 GB and the RAM is 1 GB. Probably.
1 GB RAM, 30 GB of hard disk and 1 processor. Agree or not?
Yeah.
Isn't it? Okay.
Good.
Now, did I allocate 1 GB RAM from my personal laptop? Did I allocate 30 GB RAM from my personal laptop?
No.
No, it's not from our personal laptop. It is from the AWS
Yes.
data center. I have created a new Windows machine on AWS data center. Am I right? Clear, Chaitanya?
Yeah, it is.
Do you remember in yesterday I have shown you that AWS is maintaining a lot of data centers all over the world? Agree?
Yeah,
Are you there?
yeah, I'm there.
Yesterday I have explained that AWS is maintaining a lot of data centers all over the world. Now my question is, I have successfully created a new Windows machine. Am I right?
Yeah, yes.
Tell me in which data center I have created.
It is AP South 1B.
In which data center I have created? My dear friends, you can see in the right side top. Can you see what is it?
It is
Mumbai.
Yeah, in Mumbai.
Can you see in the right side top? It is Mumbai. That means I have created my Windows machine on Mumbai data center. I have not allocated RAM from my personal laptop. I have not allocated processor from my personal laptop. I have not allocated hard disk from my personal laptop. I'm using the RAM hard disk. AWS is maintaining lakhs of GBs of RAM, millions of CPUs, and thousands of zettabytes of hard disk on their data centers. I'm consuming their hardware and created my own virtual machine as per my requirement. Clear, Chaitanya? Clear about this?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we have successfully created, and you can see the Windows machine is now running successfully. Fine. Not just creating a Windows machine. We have successfully created a Windows machine. We have to experience it. We have to learn how to connect. Sunil, you have successfully created a Windows machine. Now, Sunil, you may have questions. Sunil, tell me how to connect. If you want to connect to this Windows machine somewhere running in Mumbai data center, my dear friends, I am based out of Hyderabad. As per my requirement, as per my settings, I have created my Windows machine in Mumbai. So how can I connect? Whenever you want to connect to the remote machines, we have an application called remote desktop connection. So this application by default, you will get it in your Windows laptop. So you need to use an application called remote desktop connection. I'll show you. Look at this. From your personal laptop, you have to use an application called remote desktop connection. Yes. You don't need to install this. By default, you get it in every machine. In your laptop also, you can check right away. You will have an application called, if you search for remote desktop connection, you'll automatically get it. So what is the application which is used to connect to remote desktop? The application is remote desktop connection. Okay. So what are the login details you need to enter? If you want to connect to the remote machine, you need to get the DNS name. You need to enter your DNS name. You need to enter your username, and you need to enter your password. These are the three details which are used. These are the three credentials. These are the three details we need to enter so that you can connect to Windows machine. What are the three details you need to enter? You need to provide your DNS name. You need to provide the machine's DNS name. You need to provide your username. You need to provide your password. Once you provide all these details, then you can successfully connect to the Windows machine. Especially for non-technical people. So if you don't know about DNS, don't worry, we'll be learning it soon. Assume that DNS is something like an IP address. Every machine will have a unique IP address, something similar to it. Okay, I want to connect to Windows machine somewhere running in Mumbai. Yes, how can I connect? Very simple. This is the machine which you have successfully created now in today's session. Am I right? Successfully running also. Okay, select the machine, whichever you want, and there's an option called connect. When you click on connect, you get the details. Can you see DNS? Yes, I got the details of DNS. Very simple. I got the DNS details. All right, my dear friends. How can you get all these details? Very simple. Select the machine and click on connect. You got the DNS details. Okay, very simple. I'll write it in Notepad rather than Paint. What are the details which are required? DNS is nothing but an IP address, username, password. So how do I get the DNS? Very simple. You can click on the connect button. I repeat again. Click on connect button. You got the DNS. Copy the DNS. So DNS is ready with you now. Next. Provide the username. Username is also ready with you. So only thing what you have to have is the password. Password is not ready. Password, you need to get the password. I repeat again. When you create, so how to get the password? Do you remember after completing the 7-step process of creating a new Windows machine, at the last it is asking you to download. At the last it is asking you to download keypair. Have you observed? Have you observed? It has asked you to download the keypair. And what is keypair? Keypair is nothing but a file with extension of PEM. File with extension .pem. The advantage of keypair, when you have the keypair, then only you can generate the password. Keypair is used for generating the password security reasons. If you don't have the keypair, you cannot generate the passwords. Okay, so I have the keypair ready with me. Where is the keypair available? It is available in my desktop. It is available in my desktop, AWS batch 81, and this is the keypair, isn't it? Sunil27.pem. I hope this is the remember keypair. So I know the keypair is saved in my desktop, AWS batch 27. So I can generate the password. Click on get the password. When you click on get password, it'll ask you upload this Sunil277.pem. It is asking you the following is the keypair associated to this machine 1. It is asking you to upload the keypair. Yes, I can upload the keypair. Choose file. I browse. I go to my desktop. I have created a new folder called AWS batch 81 and I am uploading the keypair. Keypair used for generating the password. I have uploaded the keypair. Decrypt the password. Now you get the password. This is the password, my dear friends. So I have now all the 3 details ready with me. I have now all the 3 details. What are the details which are required to connect to remote desktop machine? The 3 details which are required is DNS, username, password. I have all the 3 details. What is the application name? The application name which is used is remote desktop connection. The application name which we use is remote desktop connection. Am I right? So I provide all these details. So let's open the remote desktop connection. My dear friends, let's open the remote desktop connection. Under computer, provide the DNS name. Provide the DNS name. Click on connect. When you click on connect, it will ask for username and password. Username, we already know it. It has provided the username. And it is asking for the password. Yes. Copy and provide the password. I have provided all my details. Click on OK. When you click on OK, please observe what happens. Are you sure you want to connect to the remote machine? Yes. We are successfully connecting to a completely new remote Windows machine, which is somewhere running in Mumbai data center. Are you excited? Are you excited? Is this clear? The process of creating a new Windows machine on AWS cloud. Yes, perfect. This is not my personal laptop. This is my Windows machine. Where is it created? In Mumbai data center. How exciting it is. So EC2 service, my dear friends, thank you very much for your responses. Thank you very much for your responses. So EC2, so I hope you have understood what is EC2. EC2 is a service. Let's close this. So you can see, you can experience the Windows machine. What is the hardware configuration? You can go to the properties. You can go to this PC. You can also see the hardware configuration. I can go to properties. You can see that this is 1 GB RAM. One processor, Intel Xeon processor is allocated to this machine. And how much is storage? Storage, you remember, I hope you remember this PC. It is coming with 30 GB of 29.9, 30 GB of storage, which I'm using from AWS data center. If you're done with doing this, when you click on close this, if you want to disconnect, click on close, you will be disconnected. That's it. You'll be back to your actual personal laptop. So we have not only created, you have not only learned how to create a new Windows machine, we also now successfully learned how can we connect to that particular Windows machine. And these are the login details which are required to connect to Windows machine. So what's our agenda for today's session? Please look at here. We have learned how to create a new AWS account. You know what is all about EC2 service. EC2 service is all about creating our own virtual machines. Today, you may need a Windows machine. Tomorrow, your client needs a Linux machine or any other machine, whichever you want. As per your configurations, you are ready to go ahead and create a new Windows machine. We have learned how to create a new Windows machine. What is keypair? Keypair is nothing but a file with extension .pem. Using the keypair, we can generate the password. Not just creating a new machine. Now you know how to connect to the remote machine using the remote desktop application. My dear friends, after practicing, very, very important. After practicing, you don't directly sign out. Here we have an option of signing out. Don't directly sign out. The machine is running state. What you have to do, once you're done practicing, you need to stop the machine. Actions, instance state, there's an option called stop. Don't directly sign out when the machine is running. You have to stop the machine. When you click on stop, yes, the machine will be stopped. It just takes less than a minute for the machine to be stopped. And whenever you want to practice again, you can again select the machine and you can start. So let's wait for the machine to get stopped. You can see just in a minute where machine will be stopped. So this is how you have to stop the machine and sign out, and then you can sign in again. If you want to use the same machine, you can again start the machine. I'll show you. So we are done with our agenda for today's session. So my dear friends, any questions? So before ending, let's have a couple of more questions. Okay. Before ending, let's have a couple of more questions. Adarsh Chauhan. Good evening, Adarsh. How is today's session? I can see your hand raised, Adarsh.
Yeah, hi Sunil, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Adarsh. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine, Sunil. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Yes.
Sunil, my question for today's session is, see, we have configured this hardware sessions, right? See, 1 GB of RAM and all. So
Yes,
my
you are right.
question here is, if once the instance is created and
Yes.
based upon requirement, if I want to alter this
You want to
configurations, how
increase the
am I-
hardware. You have to increase the
Yes.
hardware capacity. Let's say 1 GB RAM, you want to increase it to 8 GB or 4 GB. Instead of 30
Yes.
GB of storage, you want to increase it to 100 GB. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
We remember yesterday there are three important terms: availability, scalability, and pay-as-you-go
Scalability.
basis.
Yes.
Scalability,
Yes.
always scalable. Not
Okay.
only EC2 service, every service, availability, scalability, and pay-as-you-go basis. Yes, these are scalable. How can we increase the hardware configurations? Let's say you don't want high configurations, you can decrease the hardware configurations. How can we change the configurations? We'll be seeing in coming classes. Okay, Adarsh?
Okay, Sunil.
Clear?
Yeah, thank you.
And you can see
clear,
Adarsh,
Sunil.
now the machine is stopped. Okay,
Yes.
it's always good practice to stop the machine before signing it. And whenever you want to start it again, select the machine actions.
It can't start.
Actions, instant state, there's an option called start. Okay.
Yes.
And then after stopping, please go ahead and sign out. So this is how you have to go ahead and create a new AWS account and do hands-on about the first service called as EC2. Others, have you enjoyed today's session?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. We are done with our agenda, my dear friends. We now know all these concepts. Please go ahead and practice. Go ahead and create a new AWS account, because today, if you create an AWS account, probably from tomorrow morning, and it gets activated and you can start using it. Thank you for joining today's session. So what's our plan for tomorrow? What's our plan for tomorrow? We have created a Windows machine. So tomorrow's agenda is to create a Linux machine. I want to show you how to create a Linux machine, and not just Linux machine. I want to discuss about the concept of web server. That's something more technical. So that's our plan for tomorrow's session. I hope you have enjoyed this session. Thank you all for joining today's session. See you tomorrow, where we'll be coming with more details. Thank you very much. Bye, everybody. Thank you very much.